on to kind of thinking that we can have that is destructive. And I know, was mentioned at the beginning about thinking. And we can have lots of different types of thinking which actually don't help and send us into a fight or flight situation because they tell us that we're in danger. So things like all or nothing thinking. So it's got to be this or it's got to be that. That just sends a message to your brain of disaster because you're saying it has to be this or it has to be that. So you're telling your brain that if it's not that, then we need to be anxious. So really think about your all or nothing thinking, overgeneralizing. So like, this always happens to me. I'm always feeling like this. Be really careful with that type of thinking, because that type of thinking is telling your brain that you're in a really bad place and that everything's going to be disastrous for a long period of time, whereas actually it might just be for that moment. When we wake up in the morning, oh, it's going to be a bad day. The whole day is going to be bad because I'm feeling bad. But that's not necessarily true. If you tell yourself that it's going to be a bad day, your brain will tune into that, send loads of anxiety, loads of adrenaline, and the next thing you're feeling shut down, you can't do anything, then you're feeling guilty, and it's just a cycle. Catastrophizing, so just making the worst things up in our brains, making up stories in our minds, the worst thing is going to happen. Now, your brain can't decipher between what is actually happening and what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking about a catastrophe, your brain will think that's actually happening and send a response to the vagus nerve and to the amygdala. You produce adrenaline, you're in fight or flight, you're in high stress, and you're not in that rest or repair state. So be really careful with that catastrophizing thinking. Now, these are interesting ones, the musts and the shoulds. I call them demands. So when we make demands, so this must happen now. When we're saying that, we're not being flexible. So we're not being flexible on our thinking. So again, that's putting you in a high anxiety state because this has to happen now. Otherwise, this and this is going to happen. Okay, maybe you prefer it to happen, but it might not happen. So just being a little bit more flexible with your thinking can really help to calm your brain down. Perfectionism, everything has to be perfect. I have to get this right. That puts you on a very high anxiety and your brain in a high kind of state of, oh my God, if I don't get it perfect, something disastrous is going to happen. So there's catastrophizing linked to perfectionism. So be careful with that as well.